Hello guys, how are you? My name is Humphrey Nyambiya and I'll be taking you for the course on conservation and restoration of cultural heritage. So as part of this introductory video, what I'll try to do is try to preempt what we are going to learn in these 6 weeks. So I have done this based on what you are going to cover in each week. So with this kind of course, what we are going to look at with week 1, particularly, it is just an introduction to mainly heritage. What is heritage? What is cultural heritage? The different types of heritage which we have, or the different types of cultural heritage which we have. And also we need to define in terms of relevance, and we need to also define in terms of the importance or the value that people would place on certain objects for them to be called objects of heritage, or for a site to be called a heritage site. There is always that value, or there is always that attachment that people would place on these things. So we're going to look into these things, particularly in week 1. And then as a development to what we would have learned in week 1, with week 2, what we're going to look at is the protection of cultural heritage properties. So with this subject, or during this week, what we're going to cover, we're going to cover mainly some of the international frameworks that have been used to protect and to conserve cultural heritage. In particular, we look at conventions such as the UNESCO 1972 Convention. We'll look at the UNITRADE 1995 Convention. So these are some of the things which you look into detail. And then of particular interest again, like what has been happening, for example, in Ukraine and Russia, where there is those kinds of conflicts. We would like to look at those issues in terms of cultural heritage protection during armed conflicts, or that would be an example which you are also going to look into. So basically, this is what we are looking into for week number 2. And then when we move to week number 3, it will focus mainly on the restoration aspect of cultural heritage. But with the week 3, what we are focusing on mainly would be the theoretical frameworks, or it will be what we need to know before any kind of restoration works begin, or what we need to know before any kind of conservation work begin. So this will focus largely on those theoretical frameworks which will guide our practice in conservation and restoration of cultural properties. And then in week number 4, we will look at examples of restoration. So this particularly will be, for example, restoration or conservation of rock art sites, or of rock engravings in particular, or of manuscripts. So this is what we will look into for week number 4. And then week number 5, we will focus more on museums and their contribution to restoration and conservation of cultural properties or cultural heritage. So in this week, our major focus is on museums, to say what are museums, what are their roles globally in conserving and in protecting cultural heritage or restoring cultural properties. So this is what we focus on in week number 5. Then with the week number 6, it will be more or less like a reflection. We will look at the future of cultural heritage. So in this week, we will look at issues to do with, for example, promotion of cultural properties. That will be something to look into, and some of the questions which you would have raised during the 5 weeks. Thank you and enjoy.